It looks like we are most likely going to be getting a larger studio space in March of 2024. That's right, just like 2 months away. How exciting is that? I've been working really hard behind the scenes on this project, and today we're going to talk about everything that entails. How big the studio space is, my plans for it, and just the process of like me getting this studio space and everything that's gone into it, because it has been a journey, and a journey that I've been on for quite some time. I think back in probably 2018, 2019, I mentioned the fact that I wanted to get some sort of large Lego studio. And then in 2020, we moved from my old house to this house, and I finished this basement and built a Lego studio. But the dream ultimately in the end was to have some sort of Lego studio that wasn't in my house. It's somewhere off-site that is a lot larger and offers a lot more flexibility what we can do with Lego bricks. And it looks like that dream is actually coming true, which is pretty cool. Now, I know last year in 2023, I think it was around February or March, I got pretty excited and I started looking at studio spaces, and I did that a bit prematurely. I jumped in and was looking at studio spaces and pitched this idea over or just under a year ago. And nothing really happened in 2023. Well, actually, a lot happened in 2023. We've made some tremendous progress in this Lego room, and this Lego room has never been fuller. Also in 2022, my family was blessed with twins, Millie and Benjamin. So I spent a lot of my time raising my children over the last almost year and a half, and I'll be doing that for the next 18 years. But I think we are finally ready to take the next step in regards to this Lego channel and in regards to a Lego room with a Lego studio. How crazy is that? First thing I want to say to you is cheers! Thank you so much for the continued support. It is incredible, and of course, we wouldn't be able to do these amazing things on this channel if it weren't for you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That's good. So I want to talk about the studio space that I'm looking to acquire. I'm approximately, I would say, 95% of the way there, because I'm actually visiting the studio space pretty much on a weekly basis right now. And who am I walking through there with? Tradesmen. That's how close we are. We're already walking through the building with tradesmen. The building has been appraised. The banker has walked through it. I've got tradespeople walking through there. We're getting quotes on upgrades. That's how close we are. Like, it is insane. I can't believe we're already at that point. But possession date isn't until March 1st. So that's when we're actually going to potentially get the keys to the building. Now, I say potentially because, once again, it's not 100%. I'm going to say we're at about 90%. A specific date hasn't passed yet, and that date is called the condition date. That's where me, as the buyer, can lift my conditions and actually move forward with the purchase of the studio space. Yeah, I'm not going to be leasing a studio space. My plan all along was to actually purchase one, just because I'm not a huge fan of paying rent. I just don't think that makes a whole lot of sense business-wise for me. I've always sort of been that way, so we're actually purchasing our own studio space. It's going to be insane. We're definitely putting a lot on the line. I'm not going to say that it's all on the line. I think this is the next stepping stone for this channel and for my Lego hobby, and it's going to be absolutely wild. So the studio space is a grand total of 3,000 square feet. For anyone who doesn't operate on square feet, that's approximately 280 square meters. So it is absolutely massive. To put it into perspective, the current Lego room that takes up my entire basement is 490 square feet. So it's approximately 6 times the size. Now the really cool thing about this studio space is it's pretty much an open concept. Now I do personally have some images of it and also some video footage, but at this time I don't feel comfortable sharing that just because I'm not the actual owner of that space yet. But that will be revealed in future videos, of course, because it's going to be insane moving all of this Lego to that studio space. And I want to talk a little bit about that as well. And also some of the potential layouts that we're going to do in this studio space. Because I can't show you pictures, but I can verbally describe it. Now, the really cool thing about this studio space is the fact that it's actually a lot different than what we're dealing with down here because it's a warehouse. The back bay of the warehouse is 30 feet wide by 60 feet long. To put that into perspective, my current Lego city is 23 feet long and 12 feet wide. So this being 23 feet wide, we can literally fit it in the bay of the warehouse sideways, and we could build multiple of them. What is that, 12, 60? So approximately 4 or 5 of these cities could fit in the bay of that warehouse. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the city and what I plan to do with 4 times the amount of space for the city in 1 second, but first I want to talk about the other sections of the warehouse. So there are front offices as well, and I plan to convert all of the front offices to my shelving area, and the net space between the 3 front offices is 20 feet deep by 30 feet wide. So we've got another 600 square feet up front there. And that's where I'm going to put all of the shelving. It's divided into a few different rooms, so I plan on hopefully theming those rooms. For example, one could be Star Wars. Star Wars is probably going to be the only theme, I guess, in the shelving area. But it's definitely going to be pretty cool because you're going to have the shelving areas, and then you're going to have the city in the back bay. Now, that's not all the square footage because we still need a spot for my studio space as well. Well, it's really cool because there's actually a mezzanine that overlooks into the bay, and it's actually on top of the offices, and it's the same square footage, but it's an open concept. It's not subdivided into separate rooms. And that one there is 30 by 20 feet as well, so it's 600 square feet. So literally my basement here for the studio space, and that's where I'm going to put all of the parts, tables, and all of my junk, because my plan is to have this studio space on the ground floor, like the rooms with all of the shelving, and also the city in the back bay, to have it spotless. Nothing on the floor. It is just going to be like a showroom. And my plan is to actually get one of those little robotic vacuums and have it go around every single night just to reduce the dust in the warehouse. Now back to the Lego city that's going to be in the warehouse bay. 1,800 square feet. Once again, 60 by 30, so it's huge. What am I going to do with all of that space? Well, I want my Lego city to be all-encompassing. What do I mean by all-encompassing? Well, I've actually been putting stuff on reserve. For example, we have the Winter Village. It's currently up on the raised platform, and I want to integrate that directly into the city. Then I've been building the medieval dioramas, and what I want to do is take that diorama and actually integrate it right into the Lego city as well. And then there's some other stuff that I actually have underneath the table, such as the Quickie Mart, the Simpsons house, the Home Alone house, some skyscrapers, and the biggest of all is the mansion. So I want to integrate all of this stuff into the city. I'm not going to have it as separate dioramas. I want to have it as one giant city. And then I want to have trains going around that entire city, sort of making its way through the different zones. So it might be passing through the modular buildings, pass by the zoo, and then it might go through the medieval area, and then through the Winter Village, and through the or around the mansion, or whatever it may be. I think that would be super cool. There's some other things that I want to add to the Lego city as well. Things that we currently don't have, such as a train yard. I think that would be really cool. Maybe an airport. I still think airports are sort of wastes of room, but probably going to have the space to do that as well. And then the mansion I want to treat differently because I want to have a boatyard and a large ocean, and I want the mansion to be out on a private island, because the mansion was actually a private island. I just didn't have space to put water around it. And I think it would be really cool to build an island with the mansion with like palm trees and all sorts of vegetation around that island. So it's actually like a private island. Also, I have the Ninjago sets up on a shelf right now, so I would like to integrate those into the Lego city as well. So my goal for the city is to make it all-encompassing, and I do want to have it multi-leveled as well. So what I would probably do is build table frames that would actually be the width of the warehouse. So they would be 30 feet, not 30 feet wide, but they would be whatever it may be, probably 22 feet wide, so 22-foot wide table frames, and then I would top those table frames, and I would build multiple of them and slap them side by side, and then I would connect them all, and then I would have access holes that of course you could pop up through. So I would have these tables laid out side by side, these large table frames that are topped with melamine or wood, and then I would connect them with other pieces of 2x4s that would actually connect the frames and put the wood on top of that, and then we would have pretty much one massive rectangular layout, and it would still have the access holes. So there still would have to be crawling because I just know I'm going to want to maximize the space, so that's probably how I would do it. However, the big difference is I will be able to walk around this thing 360 degrees, and that is one of the highlights of this layout, is the fact that I'll actually be able to walk around it and access the city from all sides. Because the bay is 30 feet wide, so if I build these tables 24 feet, maybe they're 24 feet wide, and then you have like 3 feet of space on either side, because three feet is actually pretty big, so you can walk around it and you can actually access the different sections of the Lego city. And I've mentioned in other videos what I'd like to do is actually have the table frames and then have the table top on top, but make it so the tabletop actually overlaps probably like 8 inches or so. And then what I could do is you have the frame there, I could put another piece of wood coming out so that it's flush with the tabletop, and I can build a subway track that goes around the entire thing. And because I'm able to walk around the city 360 degrees, I would be able to have that subway track. And the really neat thing is that what we could do with that is actually build walls out of Lego, of course, and little dioramas, and put them in the subway track, and the city could, or the subway track could be detailed with like another layer that's underneath the Lego city. And then once we have the big flat tabletops that are all side by side and they're all connected, of course, we can raise things up around the exterior, or even within it we can put raised platforms sort of everywhere throughout the city to build the different tiers that way. I don't know if I would want to have the tables at different heights because that would void my subway idea, but I think I would like to have the tables and then actually build raised platforms on top of those tables, similar to what I've done here in my Lego city, just in a much bigger way. Now, something else that I could potentially do to my Lego city to elevate it and make it look a lot better is actually to add lights to all of the modular buildings and just throughout the Lego city, like to the street lights, traffic lights, etc. That is a huge job. I have opted out of doing that in the past, and I've never experimented with lighting up my Lego city. It would be super cool. I've seen some crazy displays at Brick World Chicago, and I really want to do something like that, but oh man, I don't know if I can take on that task, but I definitely will start to experiment with lighting in the new place. Not only do I want to experiment with lighting in the actual Lego city, but I also want to experiment with lighting in my shelving, because there are different lighting systems that IKEA sells, or anyone sells really, that you can use within your IKEA cabinets, so within the building bookcases, the PAX units, etc. So I would like to potentially start lighting up some of my cabinets. I think that's definitely going to be a lot easier to do than, say, light up my city, but I can almost guarantee that I'm going to be lighting up my cabinets. I just think that will add like a whole nother element to the display and will make it look definitely pretty neat. Yeah, so that is a definite must. Like we've got to add some lighting to the cabinets and maybe to the city as well. So I think I've covered mostly everything in regards to the Lego city and the shelving area and also my studio space upstairs, but here's just a quick recap. So we're going to have the front offices, which is going to be all of the shelving, and hopefully those shelves will be lit up. And maybe in one of those rooms it will be a straight Star Wars display room, which is going to be top notch. And then when you come into the back bay, that's going to be all city. There will be no shelving around the perimeter walls. The city will be centered in the bay as one large rectangle with access holes similar to the ones that we have now, but hopefully they're going to be a little bit larger. And you're going to be able to walk around the perimeter of the entire city. The city will be all-encompassing, and it will have absolutely everything that you've ever seen in this Lego room, plus much more in one single layout, which is super cool. And maybe it'll be lit up. The other section of the warehouse will be upstairs on the mezzanine, which is above the front rooms, which is another 600 square feet, and that's where I'm going to do all of my building, and it's going to be my mess. That's where the mess of this Lego room will be stowed away and off display, because right now when you look through this Lego room, you can sort of see my mess under the tables or in the storage rooms, in my cabinets by my build station. All of that mess is going to be tucked away upstairs so you can't see it, and that leaves the entire ground floor, which is a total of 2,400 square feet, as a neat and tidy display space for Lego. Now I want to talk about the logistics of how I plan to move this Lego from the current studio space to the new studio space. So what I would do is actually pack up my Lego city very strategically. I would take all of the trees and put them in one large tote. I would take all of the minifigures and put them in one large tote. All of the vehicles in a tote. Pretty much everything that is loose and moving around, traffic lights, street lights, street signs, all of that stuff, and put them into isolated totes. Then the city becomes quite barren, and luckily my city is 100% modular. So the next thing that I would remove would be all of the roads, and once again, those would go in one large tote, along with all of the train track as well. Now the city is pretty much reduced in size by about 50%. After that's done, what I would do is take all of the modular buildings and all of the structures and isolate them to the far end of the Lego city, clearing approximately half of the table space that I have that is used for the Lego city. And then I would start moving all of the things that are on the shelves in the Lego room onto that available table space, and also below that table space, clearing all of the shelves in the display room. Once all of the shelves are cleared, I'm going to hire a moving company because Jose doesn't want to help me move all of those cabinets, and we're going to move all of those cabinets into the warehouse. Once all the cabinets are there and set up where they belong, then I can start moving the Lego display sets. I don't know if I'll rent a U-Haul or if I'll just take loads in my car every day. But what I could do is probably rent a U-Haul and put all of this stuff in the back of the U-Haul, just evenly distributed throughout. If they're fragile, wrap them in plastic wrap or whatever it may be, and then drive slowly to the warehouse and put them on display. Next up is the city. What I'd have to do is build all the new tables that I've been talking about in this video, get the tables all built, and then start transferring all of the city stuff as well. And then before you know it, a week or a month later, we've pretty much moved everything out of this basement, and the warehouse is starting to fill up. However, there's going to be a lot more space for the taking, so that's how I plan to move this Lego room. It would be a big task, but I also did a big move in 2020 as well, and I think I managed to do it within 2 days, not including the pack up, just moving everything. So it actually was fairly easy. However, with that said, I definitely have a lot more Lego right now in 2024 when you compare my collection to 2020, so it would definitely be a bigger task, but I'm definitely up for it. One of the major differences between this move and the one that I did in 2020 is the fact that I don't have to clear everything out immediately. I have pretty much unlimited time to bring all of this Lego over to the new studio space because I'm not moving. I don't have somebody else moving in, or we're not selling this house. So I can move this Lego as quickly or as slowly as I want, really. Yeah, so that's how I would move it all. A lot of people ask me how I would, and that's how I plan to do it. So with that said, there's going to be a ton of vlogs of me packing up this entire Lego room and moving it to the new studio space and setting it up even better. It's going to be like unlimited vloggy fun content, and I am so excited for that. It is going to be so awesome. I've been waiting for this for a while because I'm ready for the next challenge, and I think this is the next challenge that is going to be like, woo! Just put me on cloud nine. Like, I'm going to be like super excited the entire time about doing this. Sure, it's going to be a lot of work, but I've never been scared of that. I'm so excited for it. It is going to be so cool. We're going to have so much space. I can't wait to be able to walk around my city. It's going to be amazing. So as I mentioned, I'm at the stage where we're walking through the warehouse with tradesmen. That is a pretty important stage because the warehouse, it needs some work. It needs new lighting because I'm converting it into a film studio. It's got the old school fluorescent bulbs in there which burn power like you wouldn't believe. So I'm going to be putting all new lighting in the film studio, all nice LED bulbs. I'm going to talk to my electrician about maybe getting some color changing ones so we can change the temperature of the room and also change the lighting color in the room so that when I'm filming different videos we can use different colors, similar to what they've done in the Lego house in the World Explorer. I remember when I was there, the lights were changing colors, which was super neat, and I hope to maybe do something like that in the warehouse bay. I'll have to talk to my electrician. In addition to that, the warehouse needs a little bit of work. It needs a new furnace. It also needs a new overhead heater, but I'm going to be replacing the overhead heater with actually radiant heat because the overhead heater would actually blow, making noise and circulating dust. So I'm actually going to be changing it to radiant heat. Big shout out to the brick building biker with that suggestion. Thank you so much, man. He's a beauty. Hopefully he's going to light up all my modular buildings for me too. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that too. Just kidding. But yeah, the radiant heat is going to be substantially better. Also, I have my handyman who helps me out. He's my guy. He is just a wonderful human being. He's incredible. He's so handy because he's like the best handyman ever. And he's going to help me frame some walls around the furnace room. Also frame some walls up around the mezzanine space and build in some shelving there as well. So I've got tradesmen going through there just to help me with that. There's also going to be a ton of cleanup involved because the warehouse right now looks like an absolute pigsty. Oh my gosh, the water was turned off in there. It reeked. It all needs all new plumbing. I'm going to take care of all of the cleaning, and I've also been contacting mural painters here in Edmonton to see if we can get a mural painted behind the city of some clouds to get a blue sky with cloud backdrop for the Lego city. Yeah, I am really excited. I could write a book about this experience and this journey of getting here because it has taken a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of planning. And buying a commercial property is like no other. It is way different than buying a residential residence because there's no pre-approval process. So the process of buying it is extremely difficult. I think it's because when you buy a residential building, you show your proof of income from the last 5 years or 2 years or 3 years or however long you've been employed by a company, and the bank approves you based on that. But when you're trying to buy a commercial property, it's a little bit different because when you're buying a commercial property, it's your business that is buying said commercial property. And that business also employs you, and in this case employs my wife. So there's a lot more risk when you're doing a loan for a business because that business can either sink or swim. So the bank treats it a lot differently. There's a lot more risk involved for them, I guess, and that's why it's taken me a little bit longer to get this project up and operational than I would have liked. But we are here and it is going to be happening. There's just a few more I's that have to be dotted and a few more T's that have to be crossed. I've got one more business related topic, and I actually brought this up in a video in March of 2023, and some of the Americans told me that it was illegal. This is not illegal in Canada, but what I'm actually doing is buying this studio space or this warehouse with a holding company or a holdco, which is a corporation that I got incorporated here in Alberta, and that holding company is going to be holding the asset, and Bricksie is going to be paying that holding company rent. And that's how the structure of that works, because we have the holding company and the operation company, and I am the owner of both. And you can transfer money between these companies freely. There is nothing illegal about that, and it's very beneficial because it limits liability for Bricksie, and it's also a way for Bricksie to pay rent toward this holding company, which is 100% tax deductible. So if anyone has any questions about how that operates, that's how it works. There's a lot more that I could say about that. Like I've been saying, or like I've mentioned, I've done a lot of behind the scenes homework and research in regards to this project over the last 5 years, and that's how it works. So now I have two companies. I have Bricksie, which is the operating company, and then I have the Bricksie holding company, which is the company which will hold the asset, and Bricksie will pay it rent. Yeah, and that's 100% legit. Some people in the States were telling me that that was illegal in the United States. Definitely not illegal here in Canada. So there's been a lot of stuff going on, and I am super duper excited. Stay tuned for some more crazy things happening in the near future, because come February, if that last 10% goes smoothly and we actually acquire this place, come February, we will be packing up everything here in the Lego room and prepping for the move once the improvements to the property are done, which I will be vlogging as well, of course. I am fired up on cloud nine. I cannot wait. We are going to build an epic city. Epic, 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 epic. The only thing I'm a little bit scared about is the parts. I don't have enough parts. I'm going to be ordering parts like crazy, so Bricklinkers, prepare yourselves for some big orders coming in from this guy. And hey, I want to thank all of you again for the continued support. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible. I cannot wait. Oh, it's like my dream has come true, everybody. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think by commenting below, and remember to have yourselves a fantastic day. Farewell.